Yeah, okay. Football. Let's talk football a little bit. I want to talk about actually quarterbacks right now. A lot of guys stepped up. Nick Foles came in second half for the Chicago Bears. 3 touchdowns. I think this might be the end of Mitch Trubisky. What do you guys think?
Mitch Trubisky was picked second overall. You know who was picked after him? Does anything ring a bell? Oh, yeah, Deshaun Watson and the reigning MVP and Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes was picked after Mitch Trubisky.
Magician.
At the time, everybody thought that was a great pick. Oh, Trubisky to the Bears. This ends their quarterback saga. Matt Nagy's a great offensive mind. Yes, they were 11-4, made the playoffs. Oh, you all know what happened next. The kicker had a brain fart. Here we are, 3-0, and they still have no quarterback, and they're still undefeated. Shall I mention Nick Foles, who is a very good quarterback, but is never consistent enough to make that cusp jump from backup to starter. He starts week 4. The 4-0 Bears coming at you. Let's go.
I think it's funny that the Bears win 2 games and, like, everyone thinks that Mitch is suddenly, like, their franchise quarterback now. I mean, he played terrible against the Giants. Like, it was almost inexcusable the second half. Like, they should have taken him out of the second half.
Let's play some hypotheticals here. The Bears have 3 wins and 0 losses, and they've done that between 2 quarterbacks. The New York Jets have 0 wins and 3 losses with a guy who they think is the franchise quarterback, who, by the way, we had a very nice touchdown pass, but had 3 picks and 2 pick sixes. But that's a story for another day. And they can't even win a game. But the Bears have Trubisky and Foles and have somehow got undefeated 3 weeks into the season.
Well, I don't think Darnold is that bad. I think if you put him in a different offensive structure, if you put him in a system that he can work, I don't think he's that bad. Playing with the Jets.
You can have that debate with Corey because we know Corey's view on Sam Darnold, and it's not a positive one.
I'm going to be real with you guys. I think Sam Darnold sucks. I really do. And for being in your third year as a quarterback, you really should not be making this many mistakes, especially in your third year.
I totally agree with you. He's making rookie mistakes in his third year, and it's going to continue to go in circles under the same ownership, same management. Sam Darnold, I'm telling you right now, if the Jets somehow get the first overall pick and draft Trevor Lawrence, I book it right now. Bill Belichick's going to be like, wow, Sam Darnold's available. We'll take him, and they'll still find a way to win games with Sam Darnold. It'll make Adam Gase and the Jets look like morons.
Exactly. But the thing is this, it'll never happen because the Jets can't draft. They'll never get Trevor Lawrence, so they just can't draft.
Knowing the Jets, they'll draft Jamar Chase, who's the top wide receiver prospect coming into the draft, over Trevor Lawrence, because they'll be like, we need wide, which they do. They need wide receiver.
Yeah, but they need somebody who can throw more. They need somebody to throw that thing without throwing a pick six twice. I have a question for you guys. Who do you think is the bigger problem on the Jets? Sam Darnold or the Jets' offensive line?
Well, the offensive line is significantly better than it was. The signings of Connor McGovern and Long Island native Greg Van Roten lived a couple minutes away from me, and Mekhi Becton, who looks like a really good player in this league. The problem with the Jets, it's not the offensive line, it's the coaching. Greg Williams was better last year than he is this year. It's a complete 180. And this is the system Adam Gase brought in. And there's talk that Adam Gase to be fired if they lose week 4. Help's not coming any sooner. Help's not coming because your interim is going to be Greg Williams.
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you who the problem on the Jets is, and I'm pretty sure – I'm not a Jets fan, but I'm pretty sure every Jets fan will agree that it's Adam Gase.
Yes, of course it's Adam Gase. It's always Adam Gase.
It is.
Let's look. I mean, Adam Gase was
Adam Gase.
Not the first pick to be hired there either. Like, everybody wanted Mike McCarthy. And Adam Gase, what is it now? 4-14 record, something like that.
He won 7 games with the Jets last year. Everybody wants to talk about what he did in Miami. Look at the progression.
You're right. I got it mixed up. I'm thinking something else. But right now it looks bad. Like yesterday's performance, there's no excuse for that.
Yeah, I mean to be honest. Yeah, I mean, on my fantasy team, the Colts defensive line got 27 points for me.
Right. Yeah, I had them too.
Yeah, but
That
on
was
top
huge.
of that,
27
yeah, it was huge. 20. So, but how do you do that? How does a defensive team do that in
I'm
fantasy?
telling you guys right now, for this week, you're taking the Broncos defense.
Tonight game.
Broncos defense. I don't have the Broncos defense. I don't have it lined up. I have the Broncos defense. I mean, I have the Colts defense. I have the Bills defense on my bench.
Well, let's think about this too for a second, because Jamal Adams, before he left there, basically publicly said, I don't know if Adam Gase is the right guy to lead the Jets. So
No, he's not.
you
He's
have
said
to
a lot of
wonder
bad things
if
about the
he's
Jets.
speaking for other players in that locker room too. Like, does
Oh,
Adam Gase
absolutely.
even have his locker room behind him right now?
No, he never has.
100%
And as
No,
a Dolphins
he
fan, I can
doesn't.
tell
No
you he
way.
never had. Jarvis
Bradley
Landry
McDougald.
traded away for a fourth
So
round pick.
if that's the case, you got to make a change.
Like, he's a terrible leader.
Bradley McDougald, the player that the Jets traded for Jamal Adams, who's been with the Jets for 5 minutes, came out and publicly said, we don't like the way practices are being run. That's not on Bradley McDougald. That's not on Mekhi Becton. That's not on Sam Darnold. That's not on Ryan Griffin. That's not on Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder. That is on one man,
Joe
and his name is
Flacco.
Adam Gase, who wears a hat that covers his eyes. The guy that covers his face with the play call book, but he's wearing a mask. So you can't even see what he's saying to begin with. The guy's delusional. He's a mess. This franchise this team, listen, I loved Rex Ryan, but they couldn't have him any longer. It just got stale. This guy has this team looking lost every week. Week 1 against Buffalo, the score looks close. It was not. Week 2 against San Francisco, where they lost Jimmy Garoppolo, Solomon Thomas, they lost Nick Bosa, Raheem Mostert, and they couldn't beat the 49ers. And now they get blown out by the Colts, who are a borderline playoff team. I can only imagine what's going to be like for another 14, 13 games. He is a delusional head coach. Todd Bowles and Rex Ryan never had this team looking this bad. They never had this team looking this bad.
I'll tell you what it's going to look like for the next 13 games. And do you remember last season how you guys started like 1-7 after losing to the 0-7 Dolphins? Yeah, and then you guys went 7-9. You'll win just enough games to save him his job if he's not fired good enough. You'll win just enough games to give you hope about Sam Darnold and to give you faith in Adam Gase, or at least management faith in Adam Gase.
I hope Colin Cowherd's report is true, that if the Jets lose Thursday, he's gone. He has to. If he gets blown out, this is the perfect opportunity for the Jets to lose on purpose. They're playing a nationally televised game on Thursday night. They're going to be playing a third-string quarterback, either Jeff Driscoll or Blake Bortles, and they're going to get destroyed.
So somehow the Jets will win, though. That's the thing. Somehow they'll win, and Adam Gase will keep his job.
Can we just talk about how terrible of a game that's going to be? 2 0-3 teams.
That's prime time. That's your prime time football
team
game.
in the league for the first
Thursday night football, man. Get ready.
And the other one's injury riddled. That's going to be such a bad game.
Rob,
I think
you have a. Go ahead. Ken.
I was going to say what I think has been the epitome of the Jets the last 3 games is when they played the 49ers. I think it was like 4th and goal, 7 from the red zone, and it was like, I don't know what the score was, but it was enough that they could have gone for it, and they kicked a field goal. Like, they're literally just playing to put up a couple points, so it doesn't look like they got completely blown out. Like, they're literally not playing to win anymore. I don't know what he's thinking.
They're not. They've given up. He's lost the locker room. I've seen some funny memes online, and we're going to ship on the Jets in a little bit. I've seen a meme online. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. It's Adam Gase walking to the locker room at halftime, and he's fiddling on his little pad, whatever he's writing down offensive plays. There was a meme, and it was him filling it out, and the picture next to it was application for unemployment. It was the funniest thing I ever said. Hopefully, after this week, he's gone. He will no longer be head coach of the Jets.
What the Jets need to
looks at his
do.
little iPad the whole time. He's such a bad leader. He has no control over the locker room. He has no accountability.
He's like the Jimmy Dolan of the Jets. Like,
well, think about this too. Does he inspire you? Like, what the Jets need to do, they need to go out and get a Rex Ryan-like personality. Because Adam Gase doesn't strike me as somebody that's going to walk into a locker room full of 60 NFL players and be like, guys, let's go, and everybody's going to be all amped to play for him. Like, he seems like a guy that players just don't want to play for.
You know who does bring that personality? the coach over in Michigan. I want to say his name
Yeah.
is Jim, or is that the Ravens coach? Which one is which?
Jim Harbaugh is
Jim
Michigan.
Harbaugh is the Michigan.
John
Okay.
Harbaugh is Baltimore.
I want Jim Harbaugh, the coach of the Jets, but that'll never happen.
He doesn't want that.
He'd be great for them.
Why would he leave Michigan to come to the Jets? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they've looked awful. I mean, I'm sure people have called him before. I mean, he's a huge name every year, but he's not back in the NFL for some reason. I don't think the Jets are going to really convince him to come back. But, I mean, he would definitely help, but I just don't think it's going to
Michigan's his alma mater, too, and I think he wants to win it. I think he would like to win a title with them. I know he hasn't had the best of luck so far, but I think there'd be something to be said if he could bring them a championship, you know. That's where he went to. He played for them, so it'd be full circle for him.
Robbie, you're wearing a Giants jersey. Joe Judge, he's a better coach than Adam Gase. But go ahead.
Everybody in the NFL is.
Listen. I back Joe Judge, okay? It's really not his fault. I don't think it's his fault at all, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a couple of reasons actually why. Listen, from what I've heard and from what I've heard from press conferences, he's coaching an old school style. He's like beating the shit out of these guys at practice. Like he's getting this mentality. He's trying to figure out what kind of team they are. Because the Giants don't know what kind of team they are. They don't know. Their rushing entire system is completely shot. They didn't do anything with Devontae Freeman on Sunday at all. They had Wayne Gallman who was getting more rushes than Devontae, but hopefully coming up he's going to run more. But also it's also a problem of Daniel Jones. I'm going to say it. He is a turnover machine. He needs to fix that. Honestly, he's honestly looked worse than Darnold yesterday. I'm going to be honest right now. He looked worse than Darnold. I don't know. I don't know. He's not doing anything. I don't know.
Nobody's worse than Darnold.
As a Giants fan.
Listen, I'll back Daniel Jones for now, and here's why. He played not even a full season last year coming in for Eli Manning, and we all know the Giants don't have the best offensive line, but it's getting there. However, you watch his performance on Monday Night Football against the Steelers. He put Sam Darnold on another planet.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think just yesterday he didn't play great. And also, you know what? He doesn't have his weapons. He doesn't have all his weapons. He doesn't have Shepard. And he's not giving the ball to the right guys. I mean, Darius Slayton got like 3 receptions. He could be a top receiver in the league, but he only gets like 3 catches a game.
I think he's the best receiver on that team. Everyone wants to say Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram.
100%.
And it seems like that Darius Slayton, from even going back to last year, he's a favorite target for Daniel Jones.
They have a connection. They have a total relationship.
Yeah.
But they don't take advantage of it. They have to realize that they can't make up for losing Barkley. They can't make it up in the run game. They have to make it up in little things like, you know what, let's run some screen plays to Devontae, or let's do some slant routes to Slayton. And you know what, Evan Ingram has been healthy for 3 games, which is like the most in like 3 seasons. So we have to take advantage of that. We're not taking advantage of the weapons.
Well, I was just about to get to that because my biggest frustration with the Giants is it seems like, I don't know why, but Evan Ingram feels like a disappearing act to me. He you know, he's got all this talent. They talk about what potential he has, but I feel like more often than not, he's getting his first catch in like the 3rd quarter when the Giants are already down by 20. Like, you got to get open, dude. And Sterling Shepard just got a bunch of money a couple off seasons ago. The guy's never healthy. Like, you got to stay on the field. Like, going on IR because of a toe. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm questioning an athlete's pain tolerance. I know these are pro athletes. They know their bodies best, but it's just frustrating because he's never on the field enough. And, like, if you're not on the field, you can't expect to have a consistent chemistry with your young quarterback, which you were just alluding to.
And this is where I think hurts the Giants and the loss of Saquon Barkley. I'm going to be the first one to say it. I don't think he's a Giant ever again. I think his Giant career is over.
I agree with you.
He's
done.
I think his NFL career is over. And running backs don't last long in this league. Their ceiling is 4, 5, 6 years. But now he's at a very young age. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think Saquon Barkley is all that. The stat sheet says differently. He can run for 23 yards at 120 rushing yards. But out of those 20 rushes, 16 of them are for 5 yards. But he has that one rush of 90 yards downfield that makes that stat line look a whole lot better. But here he is getting a torn ACL surgery. Not many running backs come back from that. I don't think he's been the same player ever again. I don't think the Giants want him. And the money he wants, no shot they offer him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it only goes downhill from here. I agree with you. Like once you tear that ACL, there are very few players that really come back super strong from that.
And his
There are
game is
very
so
few
based on
players
like
that take on
explosive plays. Like he needs to be explosive to be effective. And if you're off an ACL, man, that's scary.
It's very rare to be like a Frank Gore. Frank Gore is defying all the odds right now. The dude he's in his 16th season, and he's still a running back. But he's never been this like a Saquon Barkley, an Elliott, a Derrick Henry. He gets you 3.5 yards every single carry, and that's consistent enough for
Those are
you
the
to
guys
get
that
the water
last.
on every single year. That's
Yeah,
what makes him last in the league.
I agree with you, Bart. We're not going to see Barkley in a Giants jersey probably ever again. I realized that right after. I was like, there's no way.
So then
It's
let's
just not
pick him
happening.
up to the Jets.
I gotta disagree with all you guys. Really, Saquon's a different animal. The
agree with that.
stats over the course of a 16-game season show that he is definitely more than just one big rush a game. He's playing with a terrible offensive line throughout his whole career, and yeah, a torn ACL is very concerning. But if you give him the time to recover, anybody can. You know, players do it all the time. He may not be the crazy explosive self, but even if he's just a shadow of Saquon Barkley, he's still a top tier running back in the league. You know,
I mean, look
Frank
what
Gore-
happened
Yeah, I
to
agree with
Marshawn
that.
Lynch.
he tore his ACL in college. He wasn't going to be. He wasn't expected to be anything in the NFL, and he's lasted 16 seasons. I mean, it's rare, but it's not as rare as it may seem because you give him the time to recover, and he's back to himself, or at least close to himself, and he is very, very good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that like behind one of like the worst offensive lines like in the league, like he still put up really great numbers. And also the thing is like he's a versatile athlete. Like he can be a receiver as much as he
Yeah.
can be a running back.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
he
that's
was literally a top receiver for the Giants most games.
that's what you need to be in the NFL now. And if you're the Giants, you shouldn't rush him back. You have no reason to rush him back because you're not winning anything this season. Maybe give him even some extra rest next season if he's not fully healthy, which he may be by then. And, you know, you can still keep him there. He might even be cheaper now, so could end up in your favor.
Here's what I think. The Giants should have never drafted Saquon Barkley second overall. I mean, I'll stand by that to the day I die. That was the complete wrong pick for them to go. That was not the right answer at the time. What's that?
Good thing they didn't draft Sam Darnold, though.
Well,
No.
when they first drafted him, I thought they were going to. So I was expecting the Jets to draft Josh Rosen. And I'm glad they didn't do that either. So here we are. I don't think the best option for them was to go with Saquon Barkley. They should have gotten an offensive lineman, a defensive tackle, or somebody. Drafting a running back that high is extremely risky. Look what happened with the Chiefs this year with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's going to be an absolute star for 4 years in this league. I'm saying 4 years because of the ceiling that running backs have. They got him at 31.
It really breaks my heart when you say the 4-year thing because I know it's true, and I feel so bad for running backs in the NFL these days. They don't get paid. They don't last. You know, Todd Gurley was an MVP candidate, a star for 2 straight years, and now look at him. It really is.
Derrick Henry could be closing in on that door very soon.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
Derrick Henry, who won the Heisman, could be at his peak right now. And for all we know, another year he'll be going down the roller coaster.
Don't say that, Will. I like Henry. I really like Henry.
And
I want to see him play for a long time.
You remember like Kareem Hunt though? I get it, different circumstances, off the field issues
He
with
hasn't
him,
had the
but
same workload though.
he
No,
was like one of the top running backs just a couple seasons ago before he got in trouble. But he's on a team now. Like you have to wonder, like, what, you know, the Browns could be using him, but I know they got Nick Chubb, who's very good too. But it's to your point, like running backs, the shelf life is not long on most of them, and you really got to capitalize when you have them.
Yeah, Kareem is doing really good, and I think a part of that is actually the time. You know, somebody with a workload like Derrick Henry concerns me, and their running backs just aren't used as much unless you're somebody like Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara, who's becoming the new Christian McCaffrey, who was always good, but now that Christian McCaffrey's hurt, you're seeing how good he is. You need a passing dimension. The only team in the league that uses running backs a lot is really the Titans, and I don't know if that can last in this league.
Let's shift our attention now to baseball. Baseball playoffs start tomorrow. Now, it's been announced and Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole will start game one. Robbie, I don't know if you heard my topic before we had the technical difficulty. I'm not concerned about Shane Bieber in game one. I'm not. He played the Tigers, he played the Royals, he played the Pirates and the Reds, who in a regular season do not make the playoffs. He's a terrific pitcher. First pitcher to win the Triple Crown since Johan Santana in 2006. But he has not faced the lineup as good as the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros, or the Twins. Yes, I take that back. The Twins are in the American League Central. But he has not played a lineup as good as the Yankees, the Astros, or the Dodgers. And that might be a problem because when he's staring at the Yankee lineup tomorrow, he's going to see LeMahieu, Judge, Stanton, Hicks, Foyt, Urshela, Torres. The list goes on. Tauchman off the bench. Ford off the bench. It's a scary lineup, and I think it's going to be a Luis Severino moment for Shane Bieber where he absolutely just has a brain fart on the mound. I do not see how I don't have the Indians winning a game this series. I have the Yankees in 2.
And the good news is that Gary Sanchez isn't playing tomorrow, so that's the best news.
Yes, that's a very good news. My guy hit 144 and hit 10 home. He's the first player ever in Major League history to hit 10 home runs and hit below 150. How is that possible?
Completely underplayed the season. Completely underplayed.
Listen, I get it, 60-game season, but you're going to hit below than 150.
That's a big enough sample size to hit better than 150.
What's the catcher's name? I can't think of his name.
Kyle Higashioka will play tomorrow.
Kyle Higashioka. That's the guy's name. He's good. I feel confident that he's going to do good.
I think he's going to have a monster night at the plate. As funny as that may sound, you expect that from Judge. But
Yeah.
I think Higashioka's going to have a big hit tomorrow. I think so. I think he's going to have a big hit.
It wouldn't surprise me because
right.
Judge and Stanton just missed how many games? They missed a lot of the season, and they haven't really seen top-tier pitching.
How many games has Stanton played this season?
Not a lot.
Hardly
I would
any.
say
Not a lot at all.
I'm saying under 20.
So, yeah, the Yankees are full strength for the first time really all season, so that's good. But how good are they going to be when they haven't had the game experience in an already short season? But
I start Clint Frazier tomorrow in left field and make Stanton the DH because Frazier's been really good the entire season.
Oh, Frazier's
You know?
unbelievable.
Frazier needs to play every day, in my opinion.
And here's why I think the Yankees have to win this series in 2. If Cleveland takes one game, they do not win this series. Game 3 is a deciding game. The Yankees will have J-Happ in Game 3.
and the
Indians will have Zach Plesac. I know he got in trouble with violating protocols, but when he's on the mound, he's very good. So
Now,
that's a matchup that might concern you.
I asked my family, I even asked Corey, do the Yankees consider starting Garrett Cole in Game 2? Because if they lose, it becomes the biggest game of the year. However, do you have faith in Masahiro Tanaka, who's been up and down this season, is going to have a really good game too? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
That's a really interesting point. You know, you want to throw your ace out in Game 1, but when literally 2 of the best pitchers in the entire playoffs are facing each other, one of them has to lose. So if you save your ace for Game 2, you know, it could be an automatic advantage. But you don't want to throw Game 1.
No, because
you don't want to really give that game away.
Essentially, this is a 2-2 tie right now in a best-of-7.
Yeah.
And it would be Game 5 of a pivotal 4-game win, you know?
Very important in a 7-game series.
So, do you ever want to punt a game? Like, if I'm Aaron Boone, would I punt Game 5? Absolutely not. You lose Game 5, all the pressure's on you. Game 1 is essentially Game 5 of best-of-7 series. You have to win Game 1 to have control over that series.
And to think that one of those pitchers has to lose is scary. I mean, on both sides, because they're both so good.
Who are the Yankees going to go for the third game, if there is a third game, you think?
J-Happ.
J-Happ. Okay.
Which could be the series-deciding game. I personally would throw Davy Garcia.
That's what I was just going to say. I was going to say that Garcia has actually pitched really well.
But that's a big spotlight.
But that's the problem. For a young guy like that, put him in that kind of spot.
You could use him out of the bullpen, though, if you get in trouble early in one of the games. You know, have him eat up some innings for you.
That's why the series may not, J-Happ could start bad, you could still have another starting pitcher thrown there. So maybe the 3-game series is not terrible for a team like the Yankees, for really any team in that.
Here's
standpoint.
my opinion on this. If the Yankees are up by 2 runs, I'm taking Garrett Cole out in the 4th inning. I say that because if his pitch count is below 60 in the 4th inning, I'm putting him on the mound game 3, if there is one.
And if the Yankees are able to score 2 runs on Shane Bieber in the first 4 innings, that's
I'm taking him out. I'm taking him out. And you got to have faith in that bullpen, who has been very shaky this entire season.
Chad Green.
And listen, I'm going to miss Tommy Kahnle a lot in this playoff. He elevates his game to a whole nother level when the calendar hits October. But yeah, it was the 4th inning. You bet my life savings I'm going to Chad Green for the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then rip the Chapman.
Say this, Will. If you're the manager and you do that and then you lose that game, you're on the hot seat. Or
I think you're playing with fire there.
And then Garrett Cole starts game 3, which is the plan all along. Have him start game 3.
But if Cole is pitching good in the 4th, I mean, why do you take him out?
Yeah, you're gonna.
Why do you take him out if he can pitch
yeah.
7 good innings and he
Careful
doesn't
what
let
you
up any
wish for.
runs?
Well, think of it this way.
But it's a big risk. And
regardless of what happens this playoff, one manager in this wild card round is going to make the biggest mistake of their lives. And I hope it's Kevin Cash down in Tampa Bay. Because Mr. Analytic over there down there in Tampa Bay, who has to threaten the Yankees with 100 miles an hour fastballs to their heads. I mean, really? Really? I have Toronto winning that series in 3 games. Hinge and Rio is going to shut down the Rays. I don't buy the Rays lineup. The only guys that scare me in that lineup are G-Man Choi, who kills the Yankees,
He's a Yankee
and
killer.
Austin Meadows. Other than that, am I going to rely on Kevin Kiermaier to get a big hit? No, I don't. So, unfortunately, I just got an update that we're running out of time, so we're going to wrap this up coming up soon. Closing remarks from everybody moving forward, because we only have a 40-minute limit, which I'm going to talk to the school. We should get an upgrade because we're a club. That would make sense. And
Right.
no way in hell are we paying.
How many minutes has it been, Will?
I have no idea. Let me check the email link I sent out, because that would
I can't see any of the times.
We might have a little time to squeeze in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah,
Yes,
I want to
we
talk about the
absolutely
finals. I want to talk
What
about
did
the
your
finals.
All right,
Lakers.
well,
Wait, what's your thing say?
I sent the link out at 8:08. It's now 8:40. So
All right,
rapid fire.
Yeah, rapid
NBA
fire.
Finals, 30-second takes each. We'll start with Corey. Go.
Okay. Well, I think you can't overlook the Heat. I know we had this discussion a little bit earlier. You can't overlook them. They do have good defense. Jimmy Butler is a really good defender. Bam has proven himself. Overall a strong team. Andre Iguodala is another good defender. But they have a lot of weapons offensively. Underrated guys like Goran Dragic. Duncan Robinson is a lights-out shooter. Tyler Hero. But that being said, I have the Lakers just because LeBron, I don't think, would allow himself to lose to a team like the Heat, who isn't like the Warriors by any means, isn't a powerhouse team, and I just think LeBron is too strong. I have the Lakers in 6.
I have the Lakers in 4, and I'm going to explain why really quickly. The size difference on the court between the Lakers and the Miami Heat is a complete reach for the stars. LeBron and Anthony Davis match up with one guy on that court. His name is Bam Adebayo. Other than that, the next biggest man they have there is Andre Iguodala and Jimmy Butler. There is not a doubt in my mind the Lakers do not win this series. And if they don't, oh boy, will LeBron James be taken out of that GOAT discussion real fast by some analysts. I have the Lakers in 4 games.
I agree with you about the fact that if they lose, if LeBron loses, it's going to be a big deal because because the franchise player of the Heat is Jimmy Butler. But I'm calling right now the Heat in 7. I'm saying the Heat go in 7 because here's why. Anything can happen in basketball. It's an extremely fast-paced game. I think the Heat, just like Corey said, have a phenomenal lineup. And aside from Anthony Davis and LeBron James and Rajon Rondo, who's having a phenomenal playoff season as well, who else do they have that is consistent? they don't really have much. So I think Heat earned 7. That's my call.
Robbie, Cam, wrap us up.
I'm taking the Lakers in 5 games. I have seen LeBron in the playoffs the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I know how he performs in very high levels of performance, and I do not doubt that they are going to win the series. I don't think the Heat are bad. I've seen them in the playoffs. They played good. Tyler Hero's crazy stuff. Jimmy Butler's great. He franchise player. He's good. But I just see the Lakers winning this one. What do you think, Em?
Heat are a fun team, no egos. It's a very good story. I don't think too many people would have thought they'd get this far, but I think at the end of the day, the Lakers, they have LeBron and AD, 2 superstars. Jimmy Butler is an all-star. He's not a superstar. Heat don't have any superstars. If LeBron and AD play the way they're capable of and, just dominate in the low post, because you mentioned it, Will, there's definitely a size mismatch here. If the Lakers play that to their advantage, I don't see how they lose. That said, Miami's very competitive. I think a sweep is wishful thinking. I'll take them. I think Lakers in 6, maybe 7, but I think the Lakers will figure this out and get their championship.
Listen, I like the Miami Heat. They're a very feel-good story. You would have to think Eric Spoelstra is in the conversation for Coach of the Year. If he's not, that's a major problem. I did not have the Heat getting past the Milwaukee Bucks, that's for sure. And the fact that they were able to do that and then get past Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, and Jaylen Brown, that's another story in itself. So there's a lot of things to be proud of on the Miami Heat side, but this is a completely different animal. This is the best of the best. And just like in hockey, the Lightning are the best team and they're standing in the finals. And this is exactly the same type of issue. The NBA, I don't think the Dallas Stars will get to the NBA, the Stanley Cup Finals. I did not. Anybody think the Miami Heat were going to get to the NBA Finals?
No, but
Nobody.
they certainly are a dark horse in this. Like if I were the Lakers, I'd watch out.
Yeah, they're not here by accident. Like they've played tremendous. I think it's a great story. At the end of the day, you're going up against LeBron and Anthony Davis. It's going to be a tough matchup.
All right, guys. It has been a great show, our first one of the year. Robbie, you could go ahead and click end. And